So here we enter the second peace turn, and you know, those war turns, they really are just an additional scoring round. They don't have the kind of wealth of play that the peace turns do. And I have to say, that's something that kind of disappointed me. When I first saw the explanation of the game or whatever, I don't know what, you know, I just skimmed kind of. I thought it would be, until I started reading the rules really, I thought it would be something like Grand Sequel up here, which is the same subject matter. And I thought, that's really cool, you know, a game which differentiates between the war and the peace turns, and you can do stuff in the war turns, but it's like a more concentrated version of the game where you're not worried about developing markets and stuff. What you're worried about in that case is, you know, actually running the military operations. I should have known better. The designers obviously took the military and abstracted it very far out of Twilight Struggle, but I was hoping for something a little bit more than just, hey, you resolve the war as a series of strength comparisons on each map or something. I thought maybe there would be more decision making at the time of the war. That decision making is made as to where you allocate your forces, but it's made in this kind of worker placement-y type functionality that, you know, in a way the whole game is kind of that Euro-y type design. Okay. So I did some of the cleanup. Yeah, we've got the new war sheet set up. Let's talk about that, because this is actually, what's important is the information that you need about the game state. So it doesn't make much sense to just, you know, say, oh, it's flipped over. The important part is, hey, here's a Central European war again with a bunch of locations in Europe that impact it. And the victory limits, well, they're not that big. Even if you win big, you don't get much from this War of Austrian Succession. And that makes sense. England and France's interests, while they utilized these European wars, were really more on their global empires. King George's War will be the North American. Hey, pretty much standard. Again, doesn't look like there's a lot that's going to shift hands here. At best, you get one conquest point. That's the best you get here, too. Oh, and you get to unflag a North American market. First Carnatic War. Okay, we're getting involved in India now. And again, this is based on India. It's got a little bit more capability of opening things up. The low level, still pretty minor. However, the interesting one is probably the Jacobite War, where style is, of course, again, important. Ireland and Scotland. But if France gets even a 1-point victory, they get 2 victory points from it. And they can unflag political spaces in Europe. Likewise, the British can do the same, but they don't have less victory points to gain from this. Any British victory higher than a 1 creates the Jacobite defeat marker, which I think the only purpose of that is it gets rid of the Jacobite uprising event. And any French victory at all during the ministry phase, they can select the Jacobite uprising in addition to their usual 2 cards for the rest of the game. They get a victory marker. So unless the Brits get a 1 or there's a tie in it, we're going to see the Jacobite uprising card being impacted by this. Oh, let's look at other things that happened here. This stuff doesn't happen. The award phase, we flipped up the new awards. This is also important for board state. North America, treaty point and 1 victory point. Okay, valuable stuff is sitting now in the Caribbean, where it's worth 2 victory points, but you got to win by 2. And in Europe, where it's worth 3 victory points and you got to win by 2. And that makes that British play for Europe much more valuable now. Now remember, they were already going Europe's already more valuable because of the victory points for the prestige, but it has elevated among everything. Unfortunately, India is just worth a treaty point, really. So that's not very exciting, but there is a war there now. And it's a war which gives a couple of conquest points at the high level, which is kind of nice, you know. You can kind of shut either of the other players out if you're set up right for it. At this point, there's no conquest line to this fort. I think I'm going to ignore the harder forts rule. I don't think it really works. I'm sorry, these are not forts. Yeah, I may keep the harder forts rule. Because it doesn't really make sense to be able to establish a fort out anywhere, but by conquest. Just because your troops wouldn't have been able to capture it, so you couldn't demand it reasonably. So, yeah, there's no immediate capability to conquer these without getting established with a fort in this case, or in this case with the naval presence. Okay. Where else are we here? And now I'm tired. I want to stop already. So the reset, all the exhausted markers came off the board. I piled these guys up. I can't put them in the bag yet because actually I could probably, because the thing is I need to be able to reshuffle these things in between wars. So it's not absolutely clear, you know, what I can shuffle. Speaking of which, you know, I shake these 6 counters up. We had this happen. And we get the same, you know, furs and tobacco showed up. We also got, this is spices, not silk. I get the two confused because there's an event that's called silk, but it's not limited to these, and I thought it was. And so, anyway, it's clams, man. This new spices is a kind of neat one. It actually reduces your debt. It's not huge on victory points, though, in this era, or in any era, really, but, right. Yeah, no, it gets pretty good. It gets pretty good in the Revolutionary. Like, it grows consistently, and some of the others decrease. What about the tiles that are available? We flipped up a new tile, so we got something new. This is the military upgrade. We didn't see that before. That allows you to pick a bonus tile against a certain... pick a basic tile against a certain basic tile on the board, and whichever one you don't keep, you have the option to discard completely from the game. Otherwise, we got a bunch of events, 6 events, so you know both players can use as many events as they like. Is there any limitation on any of the events? We got this. We don't look like we have any diplomacy events, but there's one. Yeah, so that's going to be the shortfall if you need a diplomacy event. That makes things hard. And remember, when did we get to initiative? We're going to be at initiative very shortly. The French are losing, so they will have the initiative. So they have the choice of which player gets to go first. France has made... They'll get to make their ministry choice. I've dealt out the 3 additional events. Both players are going to have to throw 2 events away because last turn didn't have many event markers, so not, you know, only 2 got played. What else do we have to look at? A lot of economic activity. That's kind of cool because the war is not imminent. There's going to be another turn with other ministry choices and everything before we get to war. So these turns where there's not a war immediately afterwards are kind of cool. And this is really the only one until you hit the end of the game, because every other turn has a war right after it. they give you an opportunity to kind of build up your position on the board without worrying too much about the war. Yes, you can build up for that war, but because it's not immediate, you're going to be scoring points twice in the peace phase before you go to war. So it seems to me that doing military stuff in this turn is kind of a lesser option. Although, of course, if you get more points in the military, that is useful, or if you have the event. Okay, so I'm going to move these to the ministry phase and take a break here because I'm fatigued already. This is one of the things, you know, it's hard for me to get into the flow of the game. One of the things, though, is that I mentioned last time. What you pick on the board to do, as long as you're using some reason on it, you keep the victory points pretty close. Where they can diverge isn't really something terribly in the player's hands for the most part. So, for example, you might have this strong holding in Europe, and that now has drawn a good counter for Europe. And Europe, that British position in Europe looks a lot stronger to me. On the other hand, the French strength that has kind of been built up in North America, North America is only worth 1 point. But keep in mind, the furs modifies that. The tobacco modifies the value of the Caribbean, essentially, which is already valuable enough. And the silk, well, you know, spices. India is not that rich right now as a source of something to go after. Maybe next turn it will be, and that'll help spark the Carnatic War to be a little richer. The big decision for the French has to do with, hey, I got 5 events in my hand now, plus I have a space left for a ministry card, because I spent a victory point essentially by not turning that thing over. All right, where am I lying? The style would have given me a victory point. The card itself couldn't fire off for its event. So I've got this New World Huguenots with a mercantilism. What is the weak one? There's one that there's not much of. There's like only one diplomacy event. So I got to take that in mind. Well, I don't have any, so that's good. Okay. So this one I could be using and get the bonus no matter what. It allows me to score cotton as if it's in global demand, which means I could score it immediately when the card is played. Oh, except on France. No, I don't get to do that. It's much better in the British hands, I think, because it gives you some victory points. Whereas this, However, that can be useful. Okay. Do I have more debt available than my opponent? I have 2 available. The English only have 1 available. So this is available for the bonus. My opponent would have to damage a fort. So they'd have to do 2 damages to themselves. That's an appealing card. I'm going to put this forward because that doesn't require anything for me to get the bonus except to maintain the current debt situation. Let's keep looking. So a finance card could get me 2 of these bonuses, but Alberoni's Ambition might be interesting too. Fleury's Masterpiece, 5th in alliance space in Austria, the Dutch Republic, or Spain. And if Savoy and Sardinia, okay, I want this one because I have Savoy and Sardinia right now, which means I want the governance because that's what that's the bonus side, instead of the Court of the Sun King. Now this means I'm not getting the Jacobite Rising, which would help me to maybe always get the Jacobite Rising. Okay, that also means I'm going to discard these 2 cards And this is done simultaneously, I think, so the English can't choose to, watch for what I'm doing. The Cardinal Ministries, what is this going to give me? At the start of an action round in which your investment tile has any diplomatic action, that action confers an extra dip for Savoy, Sardinia, and each prestige space in Spain and Austria. I have one in Austria, I have Savoy and Sardinia. This is a nice card for me too. I like the combination of those two cards. They work pretty well. So that's probably going to be how I open things up. I'm keeping this one because I have the mercantilism bonus already exposed. So, yeah. Now the question is, do I want to go first? England wouldn't know that when they're doing their ministry cards, but while I'm thinking, let me see. So this is a governance card. It doesn't really require anything, and this is the one I want to fire off first. How many? There are 6 total events. I am going to let the British, or force the British to go first. They don't know that yet. Now to the British turn for their events. Let me light up a pipe so I can think a little better, and I'll be back. In a way, I mean, this is the thing with the more modern Euros. There are so many mechanisms that are being melded together in these to try to create, a more complex playing manifold or whatever you want to say. I kind of like my Euros to be a little bit more pure. However, again, the subject matter sells me over. But in this, not only do you have this kind of, area control type thing going on and some sort of mild worker placement type element towards the wars, although the game as a whole really isn't. You have the action selection here. You have something, it's not deck building, but you have again a selection option with your cards where you're culling certain cards and keeping certain others in each turn. Now, it's a big deal. This is sort of the biggest thinking that happens in a turn. There's decisions as to where to concentrate your effort, and then opportunistic choices of, oh, this is good right now. But let's take a look at what we got here. More available debt than opponent. I don't. But maybe I can take advantage of this because the French are forgetting I have this, which allows me to increase my debt limit by 1. That would get us tied. I really, really need to be able to get my debt limit in bonus. I'm going to put this here. Style the Great Northern War. There are military events now. There are a couple of them. So I will be able to get this off. Shift to political space in the German states. Now, if both are now British flagged, this is different from most events. You get a point for it. Well, it's all part of the same event. And the bonus just gets me an extra dip point, which isn't much at all. But these are the German states. I have them both already. That's kind of a shame, but 2 victory points is 2 victory points, man. I should have been thinking when I did that. What else do I have? I have this one that has a mercantilism bonus. That's not going to get played. I have one with a style. Two extra points that can go in various places, and another point in Europe for style. Style is just getting me some diplomacy, but whatever. Unfortunately for me, there aren't a lot of diplomacy major events, which is going to hurt that choice of style. Famine in Ireland. Draw 1 bonus war tile for each space you control in Ireland and add them to the Jacobite uprising. I have 2 spaces in Ireland. Wow. And this one could get played too. So I really have 4 cards I like. I'm going to get rid of this one. Let me think a little bit longer. I'm going to turn off to do that though. Yeah. Getting myself confused. I was looking at the French event. The British is unflag a space in Ireland or Scotland. You know what? I'll drop that one. It's much, much better for the French. Being able to add a couple bonus tiles. So I'm going to have these three, and I don't know, I can't play this one yet. I need to fix my debt situation. This is political. Great. And this is kind of nice because Europe is highly valued right now. So these political things are kind of cool. And the Great Northern War, I definitely want to play that early. That's probably what I'm going to be aiming for. The French are throwing me into this. Well, let's look for a military because we want to play this. And hey, there's only one. Awesome. We get away kind of lucky. If the French had grabbed that child, we might have some problems. Okay, so first we fire this thing off. Shift to political space in the German states. I cannot. If both are now British flag, gain 2 victory points. Awesome. That's why we're doing it. And I get a bonus of 1 diplomatic point. Okay. Let's take a look. At the start of each turn, increase your debt limit by 1. Well, that's actually not what it reads as. It reads as something else, which is I can do it once per turn. So let's do that. Once per turn, you can play an economic event, even in, we don't need that. That's kind of a pity because that's useful to us. Spaces in Ireland and Scotland cost me 1 less to flag. I've got them all. Minor diplomatic and unflag, I don't have that. Okay, so I have 3 actions. A major diplomatic with 1 point, a major military with 3, and a minor economic. Let's take a look at what, we got a lot of time here. We're in the running in the Caribbean, and it's worth a lot of points. So we want to prevent those points from being a problem. So I'm going to use my economic there, I think. Tobacco is important. I'm tied in tobacco. Unfortunately, I'm not close to any tobacco. Except this French one, and I can't unflag that because this is a minor event. That kind of sucks. What about spice? You know what? Chicken butt. I'm going to go for the spice instead. I'm going to spend my 1 treaty point to flag this. Okay. That's, oh no, I don't, no. No, this was my economic. Okay. So I will get this, and that's part of the bonus to it. North America, I could have spent to unflag something in North America, but I'm not actually next to anything I can unflag. So this is not really helping me right now. What about that diplomatic point? That's where my treaty point's going to go. What do we want to deal with? Well, let's take a look at these. This we got a big advantage in Europe. Let's look at this one. Not flip them over. So letters of marque, where are those? I don't know. That's Pirate Haven, that's letters of marque. Okay. Place a conflict in any unprotected marker. Place a conflict in any unprotected marker. So I am going to spend my treaty point to flag privateers. They're the same. And grab that. And now I have 3 military. What do I do with 3 fucking military? Let's look for forts. 3 is a good amount. Oh, but we're not connected. Shit. We're not connected to Ohio Forks, which is a pity. Shit. I got all this military point, and I don't have what I want with it. And I got to keep my debt limit low. That's the problem. I'm even with the French. I got to get it one lower, and then I can do all kind of good things. So I can't be taking on debt. Oh, there are no conflicts on me. I don't know what the hell to do with this military. I would love to be able... All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the most important war, which is the Jacobite Rebellion. All right, I'm going to buy myself a bonus war tile, and I'm going to put it in the Jacobite. And then I've got one more point. There are a little bit of military out there. I am going to set sail. These don't count in this next war period, so, you know, yeah, they're interesting, but they're not all that interesting. Tobacco is important. I am going to spend this, this is not valuable, this war. So, I mean, yes, I could do this. It would give me points towards this. It would get me position towards this. But then the question is that where I want to go, or would I rather get a bonus in King George's War, but fight more towards something that's less valuable? I'm putting a fair amount of effort into here. I think I'm going to throw my effort into North America. And so I'm going to spend that extra point for the Gulf of Maine or for Cabot Strait. Cabot Strait gets me right at the Louisbourg Fortress. That'll cost me 4 military to seize, but that kind of puts a hammer on the French in terms of they have to do something about that. This goes away, this goes here. I don't have the capability to use that. I did my economic over in India. If I had done it in North America, it wouldn't have helped me. Well, I could have unflagged something like this with my 2 points. But fish aren't an important commodity this turn. You know, you make your choices. These come back down. It's the French turn. All right, I need to take a little bit of a break. Recall correctly, the French had something set up. Let's see what that was. I wanted to do Alberoni's Ambition, which is going to give me some victory points. And to do that, I need this. Once per turn at the start in which an investment tile has any diplomatic, that confers extra for Savoy, Sardinia, and each prestige space in Spain and Austria. That would give me 3 extra, which is probably the limit. It is. Why don't we take advantage of this then? Well, let's look to see. Yeah, we don't have the need for a diplomatic event elsewhere, and this is the only one there is that has it as a major action. I could do it with a minor action, but you know, I'd rather do the major. So now I have 6 diplomatic points for this, if I spend that. Let's take care of this. This is the important part. Shift an alliance in Austria, the Dutch Republic, or Spain. Well, actually, I could do this effect after I do that. Spain is not interesting in this war. Austria is. Do I want a prestige space or do I want a military space? Prestige spaces are kind of cool. this gives me one of these. I gotta be careful. I'm collecting up enough of these, and so are the English. If you get a lot of them, you have to make sure you're firing them off to get your advantage. So let's take a look at what we got here. Fur market, and you kind of have to look these up all the time. That's not what it's called. It's called Algonquin raids. Place a conflict in a fur market. Yeah, you know, that doesn't hurt. The Indian ones, raids and incursions, and the Carnatic Coast one. This can go in any market in India. This one, I think, is Power Struggle. In a Carnatic Coast market. Okay. So I could open something up in one of these markets to make it easier to get, but I'm not even connected there. So that might be making good things for the English. So I want to do these other two. Did I do all of this? Shift an alliance space, I did that. If both Savoy and Sardinia are French controlled, score 3 victory points. That's what I really wanted it for. This is gone now. It's taken its effect. Okay. But I didn't get anything extra, did I? Yeah, I mean, this is a better card for the French than for the English. So I've got 6 dip, a 2-point economic, and these, none of which cost anything. Okay. Since these don't cost, I'm going to fire off, let's disable a fur market. This doesn't terribly help me, but, you know, it helps in the war if the British don't clean it up by then. But the main reason here, and this is any Indian market, we want to do one that's close to us. This would cause an isolation, which would give us additional cheapness, so that is a really good play. The English probably will respond to that. I can move this down because I can't use it now. I am allowed to place a Huguenot thing in one French flag territory. That sounds like it's probably a good idea. They're coming in to hit me over here. Well, that doesn't actually help. I don't see any threat right now. So the question would be, do I have an economic play that I want to make that's involving the Huguenot? Because I used that other one already. I probably do, but let's look at our economic play. We have a 2-point economic. Spice is the most interesting thing. Unfortunately for me, this conflict marker just reduced that to 1. So playing my economic there would actually kind of not get the best payoff. I could do that to unflag it even if it was there. So I'm going to ignore Spice, I think, because I'm not connected to any that I want. And move down to, what else is there? There's tobacco, which is good right now, and there's fur, which is even better. Okay. So let's expand our fur markets. Different choices, basically. I mean, yes, I can go up here. Actually, I can't. That doesn't connect to anything. It only connects to Hudson Bay. All right. We'll go to the Agony because that gets us close to a fort. and over here. And we don't have to spend anything extra, and we get a marker for it. So that's kind of cool. All right, now we're at 6 diplomatic. Where do we want to expend all that effort? That's a good question. Let me pause and think. One interesting thing is to look, Ireland and Scotland are in effect here. They're not in effect here. Sometimes there's overlap, and that's kind of important. So 6 diplomatic, what would I like? Well, I can't go here. That comes with a bonus. This is a particularly interesting space, which gets me that alliance in Europe. Yes, I have to shift it twice, though. Another interesting space is Russia, but Russia doesn't get me anything. 4 diplomatic gets me something yummy. That sounds good. 2, 4, I take this. I can't play it. That leaves me 2 more diplomatic, and I have treaty points, so I could do something else. I'm not necessarily all that interested in the war positions, so I'm going to spend a treaty point to get rid of that, because that starts opening this up. I don't really want to spend... I could spend 3 more and take it. I don't want to do that. You don't want to spend your whole wad, although that would open up another tile for me. I have plenty of tiles to play here. So, the English can make their choice. They can try to cut off my other tiles or cut off my opportunity to gain that tile. So that's kind of where we're at there. That puts us back to the English. Let me take another pause. The problem the English have is they want to get their debt down, or they want to convince the French to spend a debt. But the French have 3 treaty points and don't seem to be burning through them. So I'm kind of hindered. I can't take extra points without increasing my debt, but I have that card that really works for it. So I'm going to go trying to play this Vatican politics. That's going to give me the style bonus, which is an extra point. So basically I get 3 extra dip points as a major action. That's kind of cool. However, there are no dip events available. I can play it. It doesn't have the restriction, which means I have to pick my event. One thing I want to do is take a quick peek at what my war tiles are. A fort or ship flag in Europe doesn't sound terribly useful, so that's kind of an iffy card tile. And this one over here increases debt. I don't maybe get to play my card. These don't go away in the Empire phase. They go away in the Revolution phase. So there's like one point where the succession cards become obsolete, but it's not right away. I have some need for military. I got, what, that looks like 4 military points I gotta spend, right? If I look, and, they've got this remove conflict marker. Hey, it actually says it here. So it would be 2 because those are unprotected spaces both. So it would cost me 4 military to get rid of those conflict markers. Those are kind of a burden. And this gives me another diplomatic shot. So that's not so bad. However, this one gives me an exchange, but not enough military. Oh, this doesn't have an event. No good, no good. Yeah, let's take this. Okay. So the first thing I get is this, which is essentially these 3 other points with restrictions. And because it's a point gain, it just goes, into a pool that I can use when I enact the counter. So here, and this is probably a better, this could get you 2 victory points as the French. So my 2 military, this is the more important place on the board. There's a victory point at stake. But this one is being threatened. So I'm going to get rid of this conflict marker. Yes, the French can keep putting them back. We're going to probably lose India, but because they've got a couple of chits for India. Okay, so that was our military action. We have, oh, I have a swap I can make. I like the debt limit one because that does something. So I'm going to try to swap this. I don't actually show it. I draw another one. I'm going to swap this out. These are useful chits. They don't hurt you that much and they can get rid of a fort. However, with that 0 point, I am going to discard it from the game. I'm not sure that's wise. They're not the worst chits in the game. That's the problem. But it is a 0 point chit. I would rather not have it. So that takes care of this. I did the event. I did the military. All I have is an economic. Where's my economic interest lie? I'm doing okay in the spices. Tobacco, how am I doing there? I'm a little ahead in tobacco. Fur, I'm losing some ground. I only have 2. I am going to spend that economic in the fur world at Cumberland. It's not, you know, it's kind of an exposed location and everything, but we want to stay in the fight there. Put this into play. Hey, we better do some of these. Maybe we want to do something. I had nothing I wanted to unflag terribly badly. India, did I have something I wanted to unflag there? I might not do this. I am not next. I mean, next to this, I could unflag a cotton. I'm a little worried because of these that I don't have very many. I can place a conflict in an unprotected market. Let's do that one. Did we just buy? No, we bought the Buccaneer last time, so I can get away with that. Unprotected market, well, so this is kind of weird. The sugar is a bigger market. I'd love to schwack that. But tobacco's important right now. So I'm going to hit the French tobacco market that's there. This does 2 things. One, it puts a threat of for the war phase. And 2, hey, if the French don't throw some military in there to resolve that, it's not going to count even for the victory point stage for this turn. So that's kind of cool. This goes here. We shift over. And we do our usual. It's going to take like 1 video a turn, the way I'm going. But again, I don't know that there's much to this game other than this decision-making level to the game. It's not like I can give you some great narrative. I guess I could step back, but so much of the game is this optimization and decision-making that it's like playing a game of Ra or whatever. I'm finding the decision-making a little more easy than I would in like Terraforming Mars or something like that. But I think the reason for that is because I'm playing it solo. I'm not sitting with other people, you know, where my intention is more social than anything else, and then I get frustrated because I can't play effectively. In sense, spelling everything out on every decision the way I do makes me think more carefully than I would, even playing it solo, you know, without the camera. I tend to take shortcuts and just, you know, if I'm playing solo without the camera on me, I'll tend to say something like, I'll just go there. You know, I don't want to reason it all out. I don't know why I'm willing to do that with the camera in a different way. So now we're on the French again. And I do not have more available debt than my opponent. It's kind of funny, we're both playing for the same kind of thing to try to get the same kind of bonus in play. Which means the economic event for the Calico Acts is the more desirable for me. There are a lot of economic events. Hey, there's not a military, so I'm not going to get to play this anyway. This is not a hurry because there are so many of those. Unflag a cotton market. Yeah, that could be useful. Move a British squadron from the map to the Navy box. That could be helpful, especially where they're threatening me. So I think I'm going to play for that. We're interested in getting some military because we have a couple of conflicts on the board. So let's look for an economic. Here we go. Okay. So the Calico Axe, we want one that has some military on it. The Calico Axe gives me the ability to unflag a cotton market. And I don't believe that these require, otherwise I won't do it, me to be engaged. Like, normally if I want to flag or unflag, if I want to shift a market, I have to be connected. But because this is off an event card, it just allows me to unflag any market, although it might prevent isolation. Yeah, I think I just do the condition of the card. So I'm allowed to unflag this, which is an annoying place. Move a British squadron from the map to the Navy box. I'm going to chase this one away. This is more valuable overall when, you know, in a lot of ways. But I don't like this threat. Remember, I've got a damaged fort there. I don't have many military points. That's part of the problem here. So I have done both of the actions on here because the mercantilism gave me the bonus. And New World Huguenots, I still don't see anything that's threatened. And I don't think, well, we'll see if I want to play the economic for that. But let's do the upgrade first. Let's take a look at our war tiles, see what we have that's shittiest. Okay, there's our shittiest in Central Europe. That allows an unflagging of what? Does it allow a diplomatic space? Yeah, it allows me to take out a diplomatic space. So that actually could be a 0, essentially, and remove something. However, the other problem is this debt one. I'm trying to reduce his debt. I'm going to go for that. I like this better. Yeah, there's a boat I can chase off the board, and this tile is definitely coming off the map. It is actually stronger in Europe than anywhere else. It's kind of weird. The fort flag one is weaker in Europe than anywhere else. Whatever. Okay, so that was this exchange capability. I did that. I have 2 military. This kind of blows. It's a minor action. I can just fix this. I could pay 2 to fix my fort. I'm more interested in this. That costs me 2. It's not protected, so I'm not wasting any points. And now I have 2 economic actions, and I may end up using the Huguenots for that, and I gotta look to see this doesn't have 2 different things on it. Okay. 2 economic actions, what am I interested in? Furs right now, and this is where you keep counting. It's like, I don't know, the fucking Animal Evolution one by Chad Jensen. Dominant species. Okay, so I have 3 furs. The English have 1. 1.5 because that conflict doesn't do me much good. This is a major action, so I could unflag something, so that's kind of cool. Tobacco. I have 2 tobacco. The English have 2 tobacco. Tobacco's kind of valuable. Spice, I'm getting hosed in spice. I may want to let the British get the advantage in spice. Oh, I can fix that, can't I? Okay. I'm reducing my debt by 2. Shit. Yay. The Brits fucked up by letting me keep that. There's not a Carnatic coast market that I want to do. Prussian German, this would take a diplomacy to unflag. That I'm not going to be able to get off. Yeah. All right. I am going to spend my 2 points to unflag this. That makes this isolated, so it's only worth 1. And I use this sucker up, which is kind of cool, because if I wanted to spend a treaty point, I could unflag that. Yeah, let's spend a treaty point and unflag this as well. That's kind of cool. And we've got the lower debt now, so granted we can't fire this event off, but yeah, the Brits screwed up. That's all I can say about it. Which means, since I'm screwing up to that extent already, I think I'm going to take a real break at this point. Okay, things are a little interesting. So first of all, I think it's a good idea. It's the English turn. I can't play my event. It doesn't really help. I could hurt my opponent's debt a little bit, but it doesn't give me this nice, wonderful bonus that I really want. So I don't see that as a driving focus, although, I don't know. You know, how long are you going to hold on to a card and keep trying to play it? This goes away, which is a shame. That's a useful card. So I start looking at, well, what are my defects on the board? And I got one big one here, this conflict here. However, it's not threatened by the French, so yes, it's causing me problems. I'm probably losing North America, but not just because of that. It hurts me in the fur trade, which is a big deal. The fur trade is, to me, I like this 2 victory points and 1 TRP. I do not like tobacco, even though it's 3 victory points. It gives you a debt, and everybody's so concentrated on not getting debt. But maybe it's worth it now, because it is a lot of victory points. The others that are open there, well, spice gives you a debt bonus. My spice situation is no longer in my favor. The French kicked me out. Maybe that's what I want to do. But here's the thing. I'm behind in India, and it's not worth that many victory points. Maybe it's time to abandon that fight. Trying to figure out what card is useful. And then I look and see, crap, I'm losing in the big place. So I've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I'm still slightly ahead there. I thought I was losing. Okay. But I'm getting knocked down heavily there, and that's not worth any victory points if we're that close. And then also there's 3 to 2, it looks like. So again, the French are making a real play for Europe, and I can't completely ignore that. Let's see what our chits are. We have 2 that are of interest to me. Well, 3. Because these are the most valuable. I'm not really interested in paying for that event that, you know, maybe later. Okay, so the 4-point military is kind of cool because that would let me get rid of this and do something military. What something military could I do? You know, if I was willing to take on debt, I could take Louisburg. I don't know about that. Okay. So let's keep thinking. If India's off the board, let's make sure we're going to get the tobacco here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're behind on the 2-pointer, and we're tied on the tobacco. So I think that's where I want to focus. What do I got here? So my 2 special abilities involve. No, you know what? I could do some serious work in New York or in North America. All right. So I'm going to go with an economic as my major. I'll take the diplomacy as my minor, even though there's that military defect. Do I care? Do I want the military? If I put the military in here, I can do something there. Because I can unflag the fishies, but I don't care that much about the fishies. Okay, we're going to go for fur. So I'm going to grab this. 2 points in Europe. I have bonuses somewhere up here, but that's it. 2 points in Europe. What's good? Sweden is good. Or do I need to unflag? Well, they scored it. What about the Prussian and German states? Oh, that's painful. Strange that they didn't play that out. What is that? That's Silesian? I can't move that easily. Okay, we'll take Sweden. It's worth military and prestige, so there aren't a lot of places that are that good. And the 4 points here, I'm going to blow this so that this space is only a 1. And now, I'd love to just go right up there, but I can't really afford to spend my debt. I'm trying to get it below, although that looks like a hopeless problem, doesn't it? Let me look at this card again. So the bonus happens afterwards. No, the bonus gets assessed before. That's the problem, so yeah. So I will just go for the 3-point Albany. Can't. This is in conflict. Screw me. Crap. I don't know if I want to do this. If I get rid of that conflict, I'm helping myself. Yeah. Let's not do this. Let's just rewind. And we'll grab this one. Okay. I'll get rid of the conflict. I'm wasting a point to do that. No, I'm not. It's unprotected. Great. Okay. There's the problem. I unflagged this, marking that. That was 2. No, that was 1. Now I have 3 more. And now because I cleared this, I can go to Albany. And that puts me probably in the lead somewhere, I hope. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. I'm slightly in the lead on the fur. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 3, 7. I'm losing the continent. Not exactly optimal, but. And all this counting and decision making in so many different, areas of the world, so many different target spaces. This is the kind of thing that pissed me off about dominant species as well. Why does it not do it here? Because I feel like it's always on a decision-making level somehow. Maybe it's because I'm not there was something about dominant species that really pissed me off in terms of trying to keep track of all that information. Here, it feels kind of like I don't mind it. Maybe it was because, and I don't remember this, dominant species may have had tracks that I had to keep moving things on. And if I ignored those tracks, I could just keep recalculating every time I need to make a decision. Or maybe the counting was just harder in that game. Because in many ways, this feels like that kind of game. All right. And that might be the best selling point of all for people. If you like dominant species and you're interested in this era, go for this. Okay. I could unflag this for one. I don't know why I left that there. Hey, I'm getting close to, if I use both of these, now I can't really, but if I were to use both of these, I have room for more, which makes things kind of interesting. Okay. What do we want to fucking do? It's a good question. Why are the English ignoring the Caribbean? That's kind of my feeling. They're ignoring it because they had a special bonus they wanted to use. And that's kind of the problem. I would like to do this, but it's not a great deal with a minor effect, and there is no major. Military, I could rebuild my fort for 2. There are no military secondaries. What else would I do with the military? I mean, this is the only time I can do it, but economic seems to be the big thing, so we're going to grab this because we don't have an event to do. What are we going to do with it? Good question. First of all, do our Huguenots have anything exciting to do? Doesn't look like it. Like, I could place a Huguenot. Oh, it's any market in the region. Yeah, that's pretty nice. What does that mean? That means I can make something much cheaper. So we may use them. Okay. What are we doing? Tobacco, we are falling behind on. We have the debt bonus. We probably can afford to do more. Let's do our diplomacy first. We have 2 diplomacy. We got to think. Okay, so I don't want to use my diplomacy to unflag something with a minor diplomacy. The Carnatic market, am I in the lead there? I am in the lead there. I am not in the spice market. And the spice market is super valuable. Do I want to spend a 4 money on that? No, I'm going to hold off on that. So, what the hell do I want to do? My 2... Shit, this is 3. My 3 gets me into here and grabs me another European marker. That's good. Okay, now I got $4. And this was a minor action, so that's pretty much all I can do there. $4. Where am I playing? I will... He took the fur market from me, but I've got tobacco available. I've got more debt, right? I'm at +4. And they're at like 2, so I've got a 2-point debt. So I can afford to take the debt from the tobacco for the extra victory points, if I so desire. So I can take 4 points of stuff here, which I will... It's not really attractive. Not really attractive. I would have to use up a treaty point to get something additional there. What if I play in the fur zone? The fur zone, oh, I can do this, yeah. Let's do 2 here and steal that. And that way, we've increased our value in the Caribbean and we've increased our power on the tobacco. Granted, we're likely taking a debt for that. That puts us back to the Blitz. This is worth 6 points. This is only worth 5. I could do a debt point on them. It might just be worth it and give up That reduced my own debt by 2 advantage. I don't feel like my debt's going to go down. So I think I'm going to go for the event. I hate doing this. So I don't get the bonus. This is the first time we did that. We reduced the opponent's debt limit by 1. Which makes it a 3-2 race on debt, which is a little bit more reasonable, I guess. We get 2 diplomacy. Okay, what do we not want? The alliance in Europe can screw with things. Prussia, German states can screw with things. Wow. What do I have? Just 2 dip. No treaty points. Those are both kind of expensive. What do I have here? I have an India unflag. Yeah. French don't exactly have many flags either that I can reach. Oh, blah, blah, blah. There's a threat of this. There's a threat of this. I don't know what that Spain-Austria one does. What's that called? That's the Italian influences. It looks like you know what it does, but it doesn't. It's 1 DP to unflag in Spain or Austria. Right? Yeah. Which is a good deal. I can't just grab any of these, so it's not going to be that. So, what do we do? Looking for something I can take away. That's not cheap to take away. This way. Okay. Yeah, I'm allowed to. Okay. 3 economic. Well, I am in the lead in the furs. And the tobacco I'm getting slaughtered in. It's 3-2. Oh, I could have grabbed another piracy. That might have been useful. 3-2. No, is it? What? I have none now. Yeah, I have 1. So it's 3-1. I could get that to 2-2 if I throw in a debt. Well, I spent my debt. Do I want to? Yeah. This is my last shot. Okay. So I'm going to blow a debt here. And unless I want to do something in India. India might be interesting. Why don't I play in India instead? Give me that debt back. I got 3 in India. Okay. What can I unflag? I don't know. This card is the textiles card. Does that limit me? It's any market. Okay. And it's 1 less EP. Okay. So, oh, here's the question. Can I chain the unflagging? That's what I gotta look up. The daisy chaining applies on unflagging. So that kind of screws me because I would really like to grab this and unflag that at a cheaper price. Of course, that would still cost me debt. Grabbing this definitely is worth something. What is the extra point going to do, though? What am I, I'm going to get screwed out of that extra point if I do that. Which, the problem here is the French are going to be able to grab that shit because there's an economic shit. And I'm going to get screwed there. Yeah, I gotta deal with the tobacco, I guess. Okay, we'll take on a debt. And we move into here, and I'm allowed to unflag this, or would I rather just unflag and flag? I think that's better. Yeah, okay. And that gave me a debt, and this goes away, and I don't get to use this, which, you know, but sometimes it's better not to. And the French get to finish things up, and they know everything. And that everything's kind of interesting. So there's 2 tobacco to 2 tobacco. I could win the tobacco fight, or I could win silk, which is more important, or the spices, which is more important. I could probably go win furs if I wanted to. But again, well, now wait, the spice is only worth 1 victory point. I could shift. I only have 2 points on the economic. So let's do this. Let's pull this. 2 treaty points. Where did we lose our treaty? We lost our treaty here. This goes back with the E, but now it comes back. What about this alliance in Europe? Is that more interesting? Oh. Place a conflict on any alliance space in Europe. Let's just do that. That sounds like a good idea. What's a valuable space? This one's valuable. This is the one that I can... no, not mine. I would like to hit a space that's worth more than 1. We'll hit this one. I think the Dutch are important. Nah, we got the Jacobites. Not that we're going to win that war. Okay, so that's what we're doing over here. Did I mark this? No. I can't use that, but it doesn't really help me to do so. So that'll put me to 2 economic. And where do I want to win with my 2 economic? And remember, I have a treaty point. I have some debt. I can make up some of this ground. So, the tobacco is worth more points. This is interesting, though. So, let us see. With 3 points, by spending the treaty point, okay, 2 points for that. So I'm looking at 2 to 3 for the enemy. I would have to spend 2 more points. So I'm going to produce myself 2 more points of this. And I am going to grab these 2. That puts me in a vulnerable position. Like, I have a lot of exposed cheap things that can be all shot at once. But it doesn't matter, because it's scoring time. Okay. And yes, I feel like I was painfully slow on my decision making this time. Probably because somebody said they liked my decision discussions. I don't know. Let's always blame someone else. Okay, so that puts us to discard treaty points. Nobody's got more than 4. Resolve remaining powers. Oh. I could have actually saved myself a debt. You know what? I'm going to save myself a debt by playing the New World Huguenots over here and flipping them to reduce the cost of one of the things. That seems like a better move. Okay. And now they're used up, so I don't have to think about them too much. But they still do increase the cost of taking French territory in North America, which is awesome. What do we got next? Next is scoring. Okay. Scoring is actually pretty easy on this. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 2, 4, 6. The French get the victory point. For North America. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We didn't win by 2. No victory point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 1, 2. We won by a lot. All we get is a treaty point for that. No victory points there. Okay. And now Europe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We did not win by 2. Are you kidding me? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 to 7. Shit. Well, that's why you always count everything before you do it. But we did take away the British 2 points. However, I might have done things a little differently. Anyway, what do we got left? We got the prestige. I want to do that first just because. So that's 2, because I'm focusing here. The English have 3. They're actually going to get the 2. I'm sorry, they have 4. They're going to get the 2 prestige victory points. So I feel like France kind of failed because they concentrated not in Europe. But the truth is, there weren't a lot of diplomatic points to swing Europe. So maybe I did pretty well for that. French furs, 2, 4 to 3. So furs gives me 2 victory points and a treaty point. I really like the payoff for furs. Spice, nobody's got any. Pity, because that's a debt reduction. And tobacco is 3 and 1D. The English have 2. The French have 2. Nobody gets that. So these have all been resolved. Nobody won the game. And that will push us to the next peace turn. And we set up the next turn and we put another video up. And yeah, I really shouldn't be taking 1 video per turn. But again, if I'm going to expose all my thinking, it kind of has to happen. All right.